name is Joanna Bencomo.
Rabbi Larry Carroll.
Daisy Maldonado.
Jorge Rodriguez.
Vicky Galbeca.
Bill McCamley.
I would describe the border community as
Warm.
Beautiful.
Open.
welcoming.
Bicultural.
And laid back.
Here in particular in Las Cruces, we have a foot in sort of the past and a foot in the present.
I always feel like the borderland is often dismissed and disregarded, forgotten, ignored, but I think there's a warmness about people and the environment, which is what makes folks in the border community so welcoming, and that, I mean, that's why I love it here.
I think I would call it bicultural because there's two cultures at least, because of our proximity with another country, Mexico. But maybe the correct word would be multicultural, since we have many different cultures that exist in this region, including members of the First Nations. So it's a very diverse culture that you can find here in the southern New Mexico, but also all along the U.S.-Mexico border.
So when we talk about the history of the border, we have to sort of understand what it is that we're talking about, right? Certainly, the history of the material wall that comes up is a part of that history. The making real and physical and tangible of this wall, that's a part of that history. But the border existed before that, right? And so when we look at this history, what we're gonna see is consistently, in the 20th century, we see anti-communism, we see xenophobia, right? That shape the way that we think about immigrants.
I think the history of immigration in New Mexico, I think, is long-standing. New Mexico obviously was part of Mexico once upon a time. And I know that people move freely even after the border was established between the U.S. and Mexico. So in between New Mexico and Mexico, people move freely back and forth. But I would say certainly in the last 20 to 30 years, immigration has become way more difficult for that to happen. In some instances, it's become very dangerous. And people are, their families are separated and pulled apart.
If we create borders, we're also creating the people who cross them. We're creating the migrant, we're creating the asylum seeker, we're creating the refugee, we're creating the other.
What this community represents is a microcosm, and maybe it's a little macro too, about the nature of how America has developed. And that what we're seeing now is people still coming here in ways that they have come here in past generations over the last couple hundred years, like my family came from Lithuania to the United States, and we are a nation of immigrants, and I believe that some people don't like to be reminded about that, but I feel like it's important to remember. And that's something that, as a member of the Jewish community and as a rabbi, remembering is very important.